From Little League to the big leagues and everywhere in between. From one stage to another. Passion is my middle name. I'm J.J. Davis. This is In Focus. It was the early 2000s. Creighton University hires a new volleyball coach. I was there. I remember. It's been a long time. Since then, this lady's been, three-time National Coach of the Year. The Jays have been in the top 25 in each of the last, 13 seasons? Creighton has competed in the NCAA tournament 14 of the last 15 years. I could go on and on and on. Joining me right now, not standing, but sitting across the net, is the head coach of the Creighton University Blue Jays, Kirsten Bernthal Booth. Gosh, that was 100 years ago.
It was a long time ago.
How far have you come since then?
It's been quite a ride. I think I was 27 when I took the Creighton job, and
27.
Yeah, and really didn't have any idea what I was over my head. But I had a couple things going for me. I hired really well. And so I surrounded myself with people truly that knew a lot more than I did.
Right.
I had great administrative support. And, although the team had really struggled on the court the year before I got there, they were great young women and they were excited for a change. So some of those things, and then I think I'm driven sometimes by fear of failure. And so I worked really hard and I tried to learn. And
I know that feeling real well.
So it's been a wonderful journey.
First speech, you gather the women in the locker room, meeting room for the first time. What did you tell them? What do you remember?
Well, I think the funny thing is during the visit, when I was interviewing, the AD, Bruce Rasmussen, had all the candidates meet with the team. And I will tell you, it's the last time he did it in his career. He will say that's the last time he did it because the players wanted somebody else. And I think they found some stuff out. They will say I was scared, that they could tell I was scared. I was young, all these things that were red flags to them. But I don't, honestly, I don't remember the first meeting, but I do know that by the end of the spring, I started in February, I think they were excited about the future of Creighton volleyball.
What do you remember about growing up in Lincoln? You were a sports junkie? What?
Yeah, I was that kid that was in everything. My main sport was tennis by the time I graduated from high school. I played basketball all the way through. I think I played through my sophomore year. When I was little, I was a big gymnast and swimmer. I remember I got done with swimming at age 12 because they wanted me to do AM and PM swimming, so 4 hours a day, so that was a lot. Wonderful family. I had an idyllic childhood.
So what came first for you then, the volleyball or the tennis racket?
Oh, for sure, tennis. I didn't start volleyball until I think 8th grade, which would be unheard of now. So, and that was a funny story. The high school volleyball coach, Myron Ollerking, who's an icon in Nebraska, high school volleyball, who has since passed, but he had one of my friends in his gym class who was an athlete and handed her a flyer for Lincoln Juniors, who was run by Sandy Genrick, all these old timer people that people know. And I'll never forget, I was in the hall and she said, "I don't like volleyball, maybe you do." So I take the flyer, and it was $40 to join a club team,
wow.
Which is, club sports are so expensive now.
These days.
Days. So it was $40, and you could fundraise every dime. So it was a really low commitment from my parents to say, sure, give it a try. And I fell in love with it.
I was going to say, did you think, I'll just do it, what the heck, because I try everything?
For sure. Absolutely. And honestly, I was a better, even at my senior year in high school, I was a Division I tennis player. I was a Division II volleyball player.
You were a 2-time state champion in tennis. Serve and volley, rally back at the baseline.
That is true. I was a wall. I just kept the ball in play. I was very boring to watch. So no, I did not get to the net very much. I was not a very good doubles player. I just was kind of fast and could keep the ball in play.
All right, so you're an all-state setter for Lincoln East, the Spartans, right?
Correct.
Then you go to Truman State, Division II.
Yep.
Tell me about that, how you got there.
I was not highly recruited. And so I remember, again, things have changed. I sent 10 VHS volleyball videos out.
I remember that from my TV days.
And I sent out 10 VHS tennis tapes. So, and then I think a lot of things made a difference. You go visit a school, whether you like it,
right.
Scholarship money, and Truman is where I landed.
Did you get recruited for volleyball or tennis?
At Truman?
Mm-hmm.
Truman, I was strictly, now when I was on campus, the tennis coach was recruiting me to play tennis there, and I never did. But no, Truman was always tennis. I think I decided about January of my senior year that I decided I really liked the team aspect of volleyball. And I told the tennis schools that I was talking to that I was going to do volleyball.
You were the freshman of the year in the Midwestern Intercollegiate Athletic Association. You were the player of the year in 96, 97.
Long time
over 1,600 assists. And at that time, in Division II, you had over 6,000 assists, which at that time ranked third in D2 history. Blur.
Those things, I will say this, we never won a conference championship. We made the NCAA tournament, I think, once. So, I wish we'd done some other things from a team aspect. But I learned a lot. I enjoyed it overall. Some of my best friends are still my former teammates, right. The things that are important that you remember when you're my age.
Because that's what it's all about.
Right, absolutely.
Student Senate, you were also involved somewhat, we can say, politics, graduated magna cum laude. What's that mean to you?
These are highly uncomfortable things to talk about, JJ. These are a long time ago. I cared about my...
It's not easy to talk about yourself.
Yes, I cared about my academics, but I wasn't like this incredible student.
All right, we'll get off of that. Forget that. So then, next thing you know, you volunteer at Iowa to assist in the program there, where you were pursuing your master's degree in higher education.
So this is an interesting story. So yes, I decided I'd spent a semester when I was in college with the Department of Higher Education in Missouri, and I thought I wanted to be like on the academic side of a university, like a dean or a president or something like that. And my father was in college administration for years, so I'd kind of seen that growing up. And so I volunteer at Iowa while I'm starting my master's degree, and the coaching staff gets let go at the end of the year. We're the worst in the Big Ten. So then they start looking for a new coach, and they're having trouble finding a coach, and they look at the people on staff and they're like, we're going to pick her. So long story short, I was the interim head coach that spring.
Yes.
Which is crazy. There was a player older than me. I run into these women sometimes, and all I say is, I'm so sorry, because they're effectively my age.
Correct.
And but I learned a ton, and it opened doors for me. Imagine at 22 to have interim head coach at Iowa on your resume. So all of a sudden people, would look at it. So yeah, I did that, and then I did some high school coaching for a couple of years, never as a head coach, but I did some club coaching and assistant. We won a state championship when I was an assistant coach. I loved that.
But that helps parlay you to Kirkwood, where you got your first official head coaching job, Kirkwood Community College.
Yeah, and I knew nothing about junior colleges at the time, which now I have such an admiration for junior colleges. The coach that I followed, Doug Van Oort, had built the program. They were good. And I was, again, I'm not being modest to say I was completely clueless. And I remember he gave me a big box and he said, here's the recruit. Like, he tutored me and mentored me as I took this job, this young kid taking it. I was 23, and I made lots of mistakes. But thankfully, most of those women have forgiven me too. I don't think my mistakes were mean-spirited. It might have just been naivety.
You're very modest and you're very humble, and I appreciate
that.
But
I always appreciate, I didn't make that. I made that program. We had some good years, so fortunately we maybe got a little bit better, but I didn't build that program.
Made the NCAA or the NJCAA tournament 2 of the 3 years you were there. I remember when I covered Michael Jordan, and the big thing up at Chapel Hill when the Tar Heels played in then Carmichael Auditorium was, when you got Michael Jordan, you just can't screw it up because he's the best. Is that how you felt when you inherited that team with the Eagles?
Yes, we had some good players. I don't even know if I was smart enough to think that way, JJ. I was, I don't even.
How did Creighton come about?
So Creighton came about, I'd worked. So again, the great lesson, I talk to people about this. So Terry Pettit, you know who Terry Pettit, godfather of Creighton or Nebraska volleyball. His daughter was a freshman at Lincoln East when I was a senior, and we were both setters. And so I was the starting setter, and Kathy was the starting setter the year after I left. And I remember almost feeling sorry for this kid before I met her, thinking, oh, these people are going to not. And I just liked her. And so it wasn't anything, I just liked her. And so then in college, I worked some Nebraska camps when I'd come back. And Coach Pettit was always good to me. And he will later say, he appreciated that I took Catherine under my wing. I don't think I did that. I just was nice. I mean, I just liked her. But it's a testament of how things come full circle. So, Bruce Rasmussen had reached out to Terry for names when the Creighton job opened, and he gave my name, and that opened that door for me. I think they had somebody else in mind, that they found some stuff out, so they decided to not go that route, and then they were stuck with this kid.
How has that kid evolved as a head coach from Creighton early days to Creighton now? How have you evolved on the court, off the court? How?
Oh, immensely. I think sometimes you learn your most by mistakes. So there's a lot of mistakes on the way. Hopefully not inhumane mistakes. But I think, big nugget things that I've learned is you've got to over communicate. You think things are obvious to players, and a lot of times it's not. So, really be diligent to trying to over communicate to them. That's a big thing. I say this very sincerely. I think one of my best strengths is I hire well, and I use talent around me.
Well, you're only as good as the people around you.
Absolutely. I mean, Angie Oxley Barons, I hired her as a GA right when I got to Creighton. She was coming off a national championship at Nebraska, and she's been with me the entire time. I always say she's the glue of Creighton volleyball, just a really amazing coach and amazing person. And then I've had in my other assistant position, just remarkable people that have made me better come in and push me. And most of them have gone on to be successful head coaches afterwards, and I'm really proud of that. So I joke that I surround myself, but I really believe that. And I think one of my strengths is I let them be great, challenge them to utilize their strengths.
I don't think ego's in your dictionary.
Oh, I don't even know how I'm supposed to answer that, JJ.
So you built a culture, a winning culture. I think prior to the 24 season, Creighton's been one of just 7 teams that's made it to the NCAA tournament the last 12 years in a row. So I think it's safe to say the culture's in place.
Yeah, and you have to protect culture. I mean, I always say that to the team. There are things that we can do to prepare to try to have a good culture team. We can recruit. We can hit things on the head as problems arise.
Right.
But you get a bad seed, that can change very quickly.
I've heard that from a million coaches.
Yeah,
it just takes one, and then it just spreads throughout the locker room.
So that one kid that's maybe teetering, you've got to make sure you have leadership that's going to be able to handle that kid to say, hey, we got to be better than this. Go talk to coach if you're upset, or whatever's upsetting you, let's deal with it. So I will say this, we've been really fortunate to have amazing women through Creighton volleyball for many years, even before we were making the tournament.
Nebraska quickly has amazing volleyball. I've always said, from the little kids to the big kids. And I've worked in a lot of states. Nebraska, other than maybe Hawaii, perchance, is the best state in the union when it comes to volleyball. Quickly, 2 pro volleyball teams in the state of Nebraska. I think it's a good thing. Everybody wins. What says the head coach of the Creighton Blue Jays?
I tell you what, it is amazing having these opportunities. I think of Nora Sis, who was one of our great players this year. She did not want to go play abroad afterwards. So it was always known when she came in as a freshman, she was going to finish, get her nursing degree, and be done. And then about her junior year, these opportunities started to open up. And it's amazing how, and she's just one example of so many women throughout the country that all of a sudden they're like, wait, I can stay in the U.S. and play this. I talked to her last week, and she's like, I can't believe I'm getting paid for this. It is just pure joy. And it is amazing that both of these leagues picked Omaha. I mean, do I have concerns that we have two teams? I'm concerned about some cannibalization, but it tells you what a remarkable volleyball city we are here in Omaha.
Well, this has been a remarkable conversation. I'm very honored, humbled that you came in, and I hope you didn't mind me probing somewhat, because it's kind of my job. But I do appreciate it. Kirsten Bernthal Booth, the head coach of the Creighton Blue Jays. Thank you very much. From
It is
the
my
bottom of
pleasure.
heart.
Thanks, Jake.
Next up, Act 2, an actress extraordinaire. When we come back. I've only met this woman once. I had a brief part in a play at Snap. She came in, hooked me up with a costume. She was in and out, and that's it.
Yeah.
Sitting stage right next to me, I see her name everywhere with every local theater. The immortal, the great, Connie Lee.
Hello. Very nice to spend some time with you.
All right, now the most important question of the day. Who is Obi-Wan Camilli?
That's one of my little puppies, my little puppies.
Little Chihuahua.
Yes, very much a dog person. So right now we have 4. Yeah, and she's my littlest girl. Like at 6.5 pounds, she rules the roost. Yeah.
Big things come in small packages.
That's right.
Now, when you were small,
Yeah.
I was going to ask you, what came first for you, dance or theater?
Dance. From the time I was 5 years old, I wanted to dance, and my mom, bless her heart, got me into a very small local studio. And then, she quickly realized it was really a passion. She got me into a bigger studio, and then I asked her if she would ask the teacher if I could move up to the next level, and she did, and the teacher said no, so she moved me to another teacher, Marcia Bigham, and she was really my dancing mentor.
You have said, that is correct, that Marcia Bigham, your dancing mentor.
Who is-
What did you take away from her?
Marcia Thiessen now, and
you
has
take
been
away?
for a long, long time. Well, she was just fabulous. She worked with me, and I got to do private classes and group classes, and she hired me on as an assistant teacher, and she was just marvelous.
Obvious question, obvious answer. Did you have a knack for it?
Yes.
Rhythm, etc.
Absolutely. Now, when I look at it now, I didn't have the kind of talent that I really would have needed to make it somewhere on my dance ability, but I was okay. I think my main strength was being a hoofer. I'm a hoofer. I still love to.
Well, lately your main strength has been pretty much an actor.
Yeah.
5th grade, when did it click?
They were auditioning for The Sound of Music at Thomas Jefferson High School,
Yellow
and I was
Jackets.
at Rue School, and there were 3 of us from Rue that got into the cast as the Von Trapp children. I was Gretel, the littlest, and I was smitten. It was like, oh my gosh, I cannot believe I'm doing this, and with all these high schoolers and everything. It was just so cool. And after that experience, I knew I couldn't get to any theater, drama classes until I was in high school, and that was just not good enough. So in summer school, they offered these classes. So 2 years I went to summer school drama classes and got to be mixed in with an age from like my 5th and 6th grade age on up to high school kids, taught by R.H. Fanders, a lot of R.H. Fanders fans out there. And that was so good. That was good, yeah.
You saw what I believe your first professional show, A Funny Thing Happened on the Way to the Forum. How did that motivate you?
Oh, no, I was in that.
Oh, you were in it?
I was in that, yes. Good friend
Who
of
did
mine.
you play?
I was one of the Gemini twins.
I played Hysteria.
I
Many
know,
women
we've
use
talked
that.
about that. That is fabulous. That is fabulous. What a funny show.
What do you remember?
Oh, I just remember, again, walking in there and doing this show and going, they're paying me to come and do this. I can't believe it. The Talk of the Town dinner theater, back when dinner theaters were a thing.
Right.
And that was so much fun. Oh my gosh. And yes.
Some other women came into your life. Kathy Kurz.
Kathy Kurz.
1997.
Yes, and
The play.
let's see. I believe the first play that we did was like life-changing for me, which was After the Fall.
That's right.
After the Fall. And she cast me as the Marilyn Monroe-esque. It was based on Marilyn. Arthur Miller's semi-autobiographical play. And I just, it was exhilarating, nerve-wracking, and everything. And she gave me so much. And from there on out, I started to learn some craft.
Well,
from Kathy.
Right. You've always said when it comes to developing a role, getting into the character, the headspace, you just do it. You just do it. You see, you just keep doing it and doing it.
Just keep reading and seeing what I find, and then the director works with you. And I know, a lot of people think, well, you've got talent, so you walk in and you show them what you got, and it's not. It's developing with the director, with the other actors, so on and so forth, and finding more and more in the text. And sometimes it works from the outside in.
Correct.
You're given something to do, and you go, oh, okay, and then it fuels you inside. And sometimes you find something inside that manifests outwardly.
It's
both
different for every role. No matter how much you research it, no matter how much you think you've got it down, it takes time, and it comes
changes,
sometimes in
and
different
it
places.
grows, yeah.
Right. All right, I call yours the Holy Trilogy. Kathy Kurtz, Susie Collins.
Susie Collins.
Susan Clement.
Susan Clement,
Tell me about Susie Collins and what she has meant to you.
Oh, everything.
She's at the Omaha Community Playhouse.
Yes, they keep reeling her back in.
Right, because she's a gem.
Oh, she is. And she not only, oh my gosh, I've worked so much with Susie and on so many different kinds of things. And she's one of those rare people who not only is an insanely talented director, but a real people person who knows how to bring things out of you and work with all different kinds of people to have them mesh. And
I'm sitting here watching you, and you are so smooth. I'm like helter-skelter, and you're just so smooth. All right, 2002, Susan Clement, the play.
The play,
About
A Piece of My Heart.
Right.
A Piece of My Heart.
And you said that it changed me forever.
It's a highlight not just of my theatrical life, but my life period.
Because?
Because women who served in Vietnam, something that hadn't been discussed much, talked about much. The play, it's what was it, 6 women and 1 man? And we all played different characters, but we had our core character too, except for the 1 man who had many different characters. And we met people who had served in Vietnam.
You got to perform it back in D.C.
Performed it. We did it at the Bluebarn, and then we were asked to the 10th anniversary of
the memorial,
the Women's Vietnam Memorial, dedication of the statue, and we got to go to D.C. and perform it. And this was on...
Tell me as an actress that doesn't change you. When you're there, when you see it, it adds something else to the performance.
Plus, our audience was made up of mostly people who had been served in Vietnam, and talking to them afterwards, and on Veterans Day, going to everything that went on in the mall. They invited us to a party they had that they have every year on Veterans Day, and we attended that. Midnight after our last show, and we'd packed up everything, and we'd done like 5 shows, boom, 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 boom. We got taken on a personal tour of the mall, both the Women's Memorial and the Wall.
It's emotional. It's very emotional.
A group of men who are motorcyclists. I can't remember what the name of their group was. And that just, I had never been there before.
And you will never go there again, especially to that place mentally. It's just an emotional place.
What an honor. What an honor. And, just for these people, you wanted to get it right.
That's right. Now, what an honor it is to have you here, because like I said, she is so smooth. How have you grown as an artist? That's my first question.
I don't know.
Thank you. All right. Now, my second question, what do you prefer, in front of, behind?
In front of,
On stage?
on stage.
Costume.
I've done costume.
Because you're everywhere. She's everywhere.
I'm not everywhere. I'm really, really not. But in my past, in my history, I have directed. I have
That's right.
choreographed. I have done costumes. But really, you know, my joy is on stage. Yeah. And directing. Oh my gosh, to have everything riding on your shoulders. It's like, oh, I think I'll just worry about myself. That's easier.
Now, Susie Collins said that you are the one talent that can just float from one theater to the next because of your talent and your personality. And you can see it and hear it right here. You just go from one place, Bridget St. Bridget's, Bellevue Little Theater, the Bluebarn, OCP, Shelter Belt, the Playhouse, you name it. You just have that ability to just saunter in, saunter out.
I don't saunter anywhere. I get nervous. I study the script, I go audition, and I get cast or I don't get cast. And, you know, you want to, you know, I've had a long history. I've been doing this for decades. So
But that doesn't matter.
I've been to a lot of places.
But that doesn't matter.
So I've been a lot of places on my journey.
Right, but that doesn't matter.
No, it
matter
doesn't.
how many times you do it, you're still scared. You know,
It
you're still, oh
doesn't.
my gosh.
Yeah, I don't saunter. I'm not smooth.
Who is Connie Lee? Who are you?
I don't know.
Come on, Connie.
I don't know. I've had quite a history. I had some difficulties in my early life.
We all have.
Yeah.
Life is not easy. We all have.
An alcoholic in recovery. I don't mind saying that. It has been over 38 years. And in that recovery is when I really discovered and started to flourish and become who I was meant to be in the first place. And discovered, oh, there's this out there. I think I'll go look into that. Oh, there's this too. And I really knew very quickly that I'd had some theater background and done some shows, but I really wanted to do it, and I did.
Has fear played a role?
I suppose so. I just always had a drive to do theater. I had a drive for a lot of things, but theater was the main thing that propelled me to keep wanting to do it. And I've learned so much through it. You know, you look at a role, I never had like a list of roles I wanted to do. Mm-hmm. It's just like, oh, that audition, what's that show? Mm-hmm. Let me look into that. And then you read and you go, oh, whoa, okay. And then in that process, you read more about it. And then you find out some history about that particular thing. And you just learn so much.
And you have said and you have learned, stories need to be told.
Yes.
And I sincerely hope that we have helped tell your story.
Well, thank you.
Connie Lee.
Oh, stop it.
One of the true gems
of
the Omaha metro art scene. I want to thank you for joining me today.
It's been a delight.
It has been a dream, baby. Obi-Wan Camilli.
Obi-Wan Camilli.
Thank you for watching our latest edition of In Focus. And as always, I like to say, I'll see you around town.